Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan, and as you can tell, my voice is getting a little better. It's almost there, I think. Hopefully by my next episode, I'll be a real boy again. And no, guys, I'm not a Jedi. I just really like Jedi robes. They're actually quite comfortable. This is made out of fine Ewok fur. It's really nice on the skin. Anyway, today we're going to continue our Clone Wars history series. In our last episode, we looked at the Separatist mega ship Malevolence and covered its destructive warpath across the core regions of the galaxy. It's one of the better story arcs early in the Clone Wars series, and just another example of just how cunning the Separatist High Command was and how well prepared the Separatist droid army was for the Clone Wars. Today we'll be traveling back out to the edge of the galaxy where the Separatist Alliance is preparing for a devastating attack at the heart of the Republic military. Now, one of the biggest liabilities that the Grand Army of the Republic had was the fact that its entire army of clones only had one production and training center, the world of Kamino. In Legends, in the latter years of the War, the Republic would construct other types of cloning facilities like the Spartai cloning facilities, which were constructed on the moon of Coruscant. However, in canon, we don't really see the Republic do this at all. So a clear target for the Separatists would naturally be the world of Kamino. More than a decade before the Clone Wars had started, however, Kamino had been removed from most Republic star maps in preparation for the creation of the secret clone army. Once the Clone Wars started, Kamino would naturally be easier to find, especially with the huge amount of traffic coming out of the system. Also, if Palpatine knows about something, then most likely that knowledge has been passed on to Count Dooku as well. But Kamino wasn't completely defenseless. Of course, it was located in a relatively isolated area of the galaxy at the southern end of what was known as the Rishi Maze. The Rishi Maze is actually what is known as a dwarf galaxy, and it revolved around the wider Star Wars galaxy. The only reliable hyperspace lane from the core region of the galaxy ended in the Rishi system, which served as basically a gateway to the entire area. Because all traffic leading to Kamino would eventually go through this system, the Republic established a small base on the Rishi Moon. This was a pretty basic station and had only a skeleton crew manning it. The station constantly sent an all-clear signal to Kamino and Central Republic Command. If anything interrupted the signal, Kamino and its local defense fleet would go into high alert. The clone stationed on Rishi were the first generation after the Battle of Geonosis to be sent into the field. Unlike their first generation brothers, their training was a bit rushed because of the high demand for clone troopers all across the galaxy. At the Battle of Geonosis, the Separatist droid army already outnumbered the clones 4 million to 200,000, a gap that was rapidly growing each day because of how easy it was to manufacture a battle droid. Commanding the base was Sergeant O'Niner, a survivor of the Battle of Geonosis. Under his command were members of the training squadron known as Domino Squad, which was made up of Heavy 5's Echo, Droid Bait, and Cut Up. Domino Squad is probably one of the most famous squads of clone troopers in the Clone Wars series. We'll visit them a lot throughout the entire course of the war. On Kamino, Domino Squad had some severe problems in training sims due to a lack of unit cohesion. This was actually quite uncommon for clones and was most likely due to the strong individual personalities of all the clones in the unit. CT-782 Heavy was an overly aggressive trooper who oftentimes charged the enemy without backup or any consideration for his own safety or the safety of his own men. His preferred weapon was the Z6 Rotary Blaster, a squad support weapon that he naturally liked to wield by himself. Then there was CT-1409 Echo, who was named Echo because he liked to repeat orders from superiors. This naturally pissed off his fellow squadmates a lot. CT-5555, or Fives as he was known, was probably one of the more easygoing clones in this unit and would have naturally fit in well with any other squad. CT-4040 Cut Up was a complete smartass and oftentimes crossed the line when talking to commanding officers. Lastly, there was CT-2010, or Droid Bait, who seemed to always get gunned down first during the training assignments. During their training on Kamino, bounty hunters were brought in to train Domino Squad and hopefully speed up their graduation to field duty. This actually wasn't all that different from Legends, where Jango Fett basically brought in Mandalorian bounty hunters to train the Commando clones. Domino Squad would eventually sort out all of their problems and graduated just in time to ship off onto Rishi. And it's a good thing that they did get their heads on straight, because if they didn't, they would have joined all the other defective droids in maintenance. Anyway, back on Rishi. The listening outpost there was hardly a defensible position and could be easily overrun even by small forces. There was no fleet in position over the system either, so the clones on the moon were more or less alone and therefore needed to be extra vigilant. Clone Commander Cody and Captain Rex were expected to arrive on the listening base for a routine inspection at the time, so the clones on the base were rushing to get everything in order. A few systems away, Anakin Skywalker and the bulk of the Republic fleet were still searching for General Grievous. The Separatist leader had recently escaped from the Republic after his flagship, the Malevolence, had crashed into a moon. It was vital that they found the cunning general before he struck at the Republic again. Little did they know, General Grievous was actually preparing a devastating attack against Kamino, but first they would need to bypass the Rishi station without triggering the alarm system there. The Separatists knew they had to take out all the clones before they were able to erase the all-clear signal. As usual, General Grievous came up with a very cunning plan. Disguised as a meteor shower, a squadron of droid commandos were covertly inserted onto the moon. Sergeant 09er sends out a clone trooper to inspect the meteor strike for any potential damage to the installation, and the clone is immediately ambushed by a droid commando. Now, the BX series commando droids were far superior to the B-1 battle droids that the Separatist army deployed en masse. The BX droids were not only sturdier, but they also had improved battlefield awareness and combat tactics. This allowed them to be far less predictable than other droids and at the same time adapt to enemy tactics. The BX droids were also extremely agile and fast and were expert melee fighters. Their improved armor allowed them to take several blaster bolts before going down, which actually made them incredibly difficult to take down. While a clone trooper was far superior to a B-1 battle droid, they arguably met their match when it came to the BX droids. Because of their commando duties, the BX droids could also change their vocabulators in order to imitate clones. After quietly taking out the scout, the Separatist commando droids are able to break into the base and quickly kill several clones, including Sergeant Niner and Droid Bait. Heavy 5's Echo and Cutup manage to escape the base before it completely is overrun by hiding in a maintenance shaft. The commando droids manage to take the entire base before the clones manage to shut down the all-clear signal. The mission is a huge success for the droids, and they contact General Grievous, updating him on the situation. The remaining rookie clones must regroup themselves. They realize that they have to find a way to contact the Republic because Kamino is completely blind right now, and there are tons of clone cadets on the planet, including a lot of children who can't really defend themselves. But before they can make a move, a Republic shuttle arrives with Captain Rex and Commander Cody on their routine checkup. The commando droids pick up a clone helmet and adjust their vocabulators to sound like a clone and try to convince Rex and Cody that everything is fine and that they don't need to come inspect the base. The clones, however, aren't convinced and head to the surface anyway, where they are greeted by a commando droid in complete clone armor. The two veteran clones immediately realize something is off. Meanwhile, the surviving clones then launch a red flare, confirming their suspicions, and buy Commander Cody and Captain Rex just enough time to escape an ambush by the Separatist commando droids, which also happens to destroy their ship. Rex and Cody eventually rendezvous with the remaining clones. There are only 3 of them now. Cutup had been eaten by a giant worm. The clones have to come up with a plan very quickly because they're kind of running out of time to warn Kamino. The good news was that the Separatist droids were unaware any surviving clones were left on the moon, so the clones now have the element of surprise on their side. They use the same tactics that the Separatist commando droids did and pretend to be droids in order to get the Separatists to open up the doors. And just as quickly, the clones retake the base from the Separatists. Once they have control of the scanners, the clones detect a gigantic fleet passing over the moon. General Grievous is on the way to attack Kamino, but because he's lost contact with the Rishi listening post, he sends reinforcements to go check out exactly what is going on. The clones, now realizing that Grievous is on the way to take out Kamino, must somehow warn the Republic about the Separatist fleet. Meanwhile, an entire Separatist lander is deployed with hundreds of droids, forcing the remaining clones to scramble to put together a makeshift defense. But against such numbers, victory was hopeless. And because the Separatists had managed to sabotage the all-clear signal, the clones couldn't figure out a way to shut it down. Luckily, the planet did have a large storage of Tabana gas underneath, which was used to heat the station. It also happened to be a very combustive gas, which could be used as an explosive. The clones fight a strategic retreat as Rex begins rigging explosives to the Tabana gas. Slowly, they give up ground to the droid army, but unfortunately, the transmitter for the detonator isn't working. Heavy volunteers to fix the detonator, telling all the other clones to escape. Fortunately for Heavy, the detonator is beyond repair, and the clone ends up making the ultimate sacrifice and blows himself up along with the station. Now, upon seeing the disruption of the all-clear signal, the Republic fleet under the command of Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi immediately arrive and intercept General Grievous' fleet, forcing the cyborg to end his invasion plans for Kamino, for now. Although the 10 clone troopers on the Rishi Moon outpost were outnumbered and outclassed, they still managed to warn the Republic, which really goes to show you just how well trained these clone troopers were, even if they are just rookies. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification button so you don't miss out on the rest of our Clone Wars history series. And as usual, thanks for joining us today. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.